first day of the second week of COP29 in Baku, crucial agreements were reached. These include standards for Article 6.4, as announced by COP President Mukhtar Babayev. He also confirmed the adoption of Article 6.8 on non-market approaches.
These are critical steps towards concluding Article 6 negotiations. We also saw the fund for loss and damage signed the hosting, trustee, and host country agreements. And we have also established the Baku work plan of the local communities and indigenous peoples platform. Dear colleagues, this represents progress, but we still have more to do.
UN Climate Change Executive Secretary Simon Steele highlighted the significant progress made at COP29, particularly on carbon markets, but emphasised that challenges remain.
There's more work to do, of course, and I'm certainly not complacent. There are still challenges ahead there. The bottom line is we're a long way from halving global emissions this decade. So progress at COP29 is absolutely essential, and we must help countries to pick up this pace over this final week. We've also seen strong signals from two G20 economies already, the UK and Brazil, that have just submitted their NDCs. They plan to ramp up climate action, and they are clear they are doing so because it's 100% in their economic interest to do so.
Article 6.4 of the Paris Agreement introduces a mechanism for validating, verifying and issuing high-quality carbon credits. Meanwhile, Article 6.8 enables countries to cooperate on achieving their national determined contributions without relying on carbon markets. A major part of the Human Capital Day, kicking off the first day of the second week of COP29 in Baku, was a high-level roundtable focusing on human health. A letter of intent was signed regarding the establishment of the Climate and Health Baku COP Presidency's Legacy Coalition. This comprises Azerbaijan, the UK, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and Brazil.
So we waited 28 years for health to be formally recognized on the COP agenda. Last year was the first health day at COP28. Today at COP29, we now know that health has a permanent home on the COP and the climate agendas. We had 5 COP presidencies and the World Health Organization commit together to this COP presidency's continuity coalition. So we know that health will continue to be prioritized, and we're seeing more and more risks and challenges from climate to health, so it's a very welcome announcement today.
The letter of intent reflects a shared vision where climate and health policies are not isolated but integrated into all aspects of governance and development.
More than 100 experts, finance experts, healthcare system managers, and international organizations come together to discuss the impact of climate change on human health and the way we can somehow mitigate this.
By prioritizing both health and climate actions, lives can be protected and stronger, more resilient healthcare systems can be implemented.
Today at COP29 in Baku, an action was organized against nuclear tests in colonial and post-colonial territories. The participants voiced their protests in the clearest possible terms. Photos showing the negative effects of colonialism and neo-colonialism in Africa, together with nuclear testing in French Polynesia, were shown at the event.
We have gathered here because we are concerned of what colonialism and its follow-up neo-colonialism have done to the environment, especially in the countries that were colonized. That is why we're here. We are alluding and saying that it is enough. Colonialism has left in its wake environmental degradation, and that includes further developments that sustain colonialism, including nuclear weapons.
Participants in the action protested against uranium mining in Niger, the environmental impact of nickel mining in New Caledonia, and water pollution in Martinique.
What we hope for in the future in relation to our work here today, total decolonization of countries that have been under colonization for some time. Despite their independence, they are not completely sovereign. So no one of the flagship actions of the Baku Initiative Group and the organization invited here are working in this direction.
Simultaneously, photos depicting France's nuclear test in Algeria in 1970, environmental pollution in Martinique, and the discharge of harmful substances into a river in French Guinea were included in the action. Civil society representatives from 8 Organization of Turkic States countries gathered today at COP29 to discuss joint climate initiatives. The forum, organized by the Agency for State Support to Non-Governmental Organizations of Azerbaijan, included participants from Azerbaijan, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Hungary, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, and Turkmenistan.
Having in mind that Turkic states are next to each other, ecological problems of one country affect the environment in another. That's why if we want to have good environment in all the Turkic-speaking states, we have to basically all work on it together, because it won't work if one country does it and another does not.
Officials from the participating countries congratulated Azerbaijan as the host nation.
We are very pleased that Azerbaijan, the host country of COP29, raised the issue of those developing countries that don't have direct access to international rivers and oceans, but at the same time have populations in millions. For those countries as well, the issues of ecology, water, and environment are very important.
Для которых тоже весьма важно именно вопрос экологии, воды и окружающей среды.
Participants expressed a commitment towards furthering cooperation in addressing climate challenges in the Turkic world.
The second week of COP29 in Baku began with a focus on human development, children and youth, health and education, addressing critical issues for humanity when confronted by climate change. Today's youth are not only inheriting these challenges, but also preparing to lead the fight. The inaugural Human Development Day featured a high-level meeting on the Baku Initiative on Human Development for Climate Resilience, emphasizing education's role in building climate resilience. The meeting introduced a joint statement and the Baku Guiding Principles, highlighting the importance of climate-friendly curricula, teacher training on environmental matters, and equipping youth with green skills. Ms. Maya Seppo, Assistant Director General, International Labour Organization, stressed the need to study and gain expertise in green skills to prepare a climate-ready future workforce.
As ILO, we put a strong emphasis on skills, so making sure that we have a skilled workforce, which is going to be critical to enable the transition, and also making sure that young people get the green skills that are in the demand in the labor market today and in the future.
Education is the obvious tool to empower young people. Think about science. Science gives you the tools to understand the issues around the climate, to engage with this, to become the future engineer who's developing the technologies to adapt to a changing climate and mitigate the climate.
We are creating an educated workforce that corporates, the private sector need to implement what we are trying to do, so to tackle climate change. So it's a real revolution, a revolution starting from literacy, climate literacy for the new climate revolution.
The day's discussions reinforced the significance of Human Development Day at COP29, showing how education and human development are increasingly essential in achieving global climate goals and securing a sustainable future.
The world is not changed by those who stay at the table. It is changed by those who ride through the storm. That's according to the freelance journalist Ingvar Peronavovic, who believes that the world is a place where anything is possible, as long as you're pedaling far enough. His journey to COP29 in Baku started in the heart of Europe, in his home country, Germany.
I started in the southwest of Germany, in my hometown Freiburg, and my first challenge was to climb the Alps, you know, the big mountain range. So this was my first challenge, and then northern Italy was a fascinating place. It's called South Tyrol. That's a beautiful place, I realized first. And then a challenge was the Balkan, you know, in Bosnia or Montenegro. You have lots of mountains, but you get rewarded with magnificent views and also lovely people. And I would say a thumb rule, the hospitality of people increases the more you are away from Germany.
His journey stretched through 14 countries, 5,100 kilometers, and took 110 days, all with one purpose: to bring a message from the people affected by climate change to the doorstep of the world's most important climate conference in Baku, Azerbaijan.
My two main political objectives with this journey was first to raise awareness about the climate conference and about climate-related issues. You know, climate change is a huge threat to our humanity and to our civilization. And I wanted to raise awareness about this. But also, I'm a huge fan of cycling, of course, and I think the bicycle is a really underestimated technology in fighting climate change and also in tackling pollution and all the environmental related problems we have in our cities, for example. When you start such a trip, your body is not used to cycling all day long, and you don't have so much good endurance. So it was one of the biggest challenges already at the beginning of the trip.
As a journalist, he says he is capturing the views of the people he meets and the landscapes he passes. This gives him a deeper motivation to witness the stories of the world as they are unfold around him.
I write articles, for example, I wrote about my travel on a bi-weekly basis for a German newspaper, so I get some income from that. I have some savings, of course, and I travel economically, I would say. First of all, it was the first time that I showed myself, you know, with my face and on video, and I wasn't sure how people would react to that because they don't know me actually, and I was completely overwhelmed with the reaction. I got so much emotional support. People wished me all the best and supported me all the way.
His connection to his bike and the open road symbolizes freedom and the personal commitment to sustainability. Ingvar was confronted with the suffocating reality of urban congestion, something that he hadn't faced since he first set out from Germany.
I always struggle with traffic, you know, especially when there's heavy traffic, truck traffic. I had some dangerous car incidents when trucks or big cars just pass you, you know, and you could feel the air from them passing by. And sometimes cars don't see you, you know, they take a right turn and oversee you, and you can't do anything about it.
Baku city may buzz with the political power of COP29, but Ingvar's presence in that room represented something different. For Ingvar, it was about bringing the world closer together in the fight for a better future. He hopes that the ride is just the beginning of something much larger, something that will ripple out across the world.
New Delhi is the worst city in India for mortality rates linked to smog. Around 12,000 people die each year from air pollution. That's according to the Lancet Planetary Health Journal in July. The capital has an air quality index of 1,081. Experts warn that without long-term solutions, The city's health and future will remain at risk. Now Indian authorities have banned diesel trucks in New Delhi and closed schools. It's part of triggering the activation of Stage 4 of their Graded Response Action Plan. It means construction work has stopped and many businesses are having to work remotely to reduce emissions. Only vehicles carrying essential goods are allowed to enter the city. Residents are urged to stay indoors as much as possible to minimise exposure to the hazardous smog. Visibility in the capital has dropped to just 100 metres, with flights and trains operating, but with delays.
Its name is Manyi, carrying winds of up to 185 kilometers per hour and causing damage to homes, schools and commercial buildings in several areas. A Coast Guard team was deployed to help with finding residents in need of assistance. More than 1 million people were ordered to leave their homes in the northern part of the island, fearing rising water levels.
We left because every time there is a typhoon, the water rises in the nearby river. We have children with us and we are scared. That is why we left.
The storm is moving towards the central and southern parts of the island. So far, there have been no reported casualties. On average, about 20 tropical storms strike the Philippines each year, bringing heavy rain, strong winds, and deadly landslides.
Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan initiated a significant government reshuffle. According to Armenian media, the Prime Minister summoned the Minister of Territorial Administration and the head of the State Revenue Committee. Following the meeting on Sunday evening, both officials submitted their resignations. Reports also suggest that the Minister of Internal Affairs has resigned. Earlier, we spoke to the expert on the political situation in the Caucasus, Ashfaq Ahmad from Pakistan, to explore the possible political implications of this move.
The ongoing political situation in Armenia is very interesting because Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan demanded for resignation from the high-ranking government officials, and these government officials tendered their resignation, which were later on accepted immediately. So the first political implication can be that Nikol Pashinyan has sent a stern message to dissenting voices within the government or within the cabinet that no opposition to Pashinyan's decision, a political decision, will be tolerated, and whosoever will oppose his decision-making approach will be sent home. So that is the first political implication. The second implication is that it can give a lease life to renewed opposition. So that can lead to criticism on internal policies of Nikol Pashinyan administration and external decision-making style that Nikol Pashinyan has adopted. The third possible implication of this particular scenario is that cabinet will be definitely reshuffled. But we have to see that who is going to be included in the cabinet. I believe that those who have the like-minded will be included in the cabinet, but the criticism can be carried out on this particular reshuffle. Nikol Pashinyan can be accused of nepotism and promoting personal relationship. So that can be the third scenario, and the fourth can be the impact on foreign policy. The governmental shakeup in Armenia can have implication for Azerbaijan-Armenian relation if Nikol Pashinyan is not in a position to control the opposition, and opposition is able to bring the masses on the streets. Then of course I believe that Nikol Pashinyan will be ousted from power first, and then the future government may be more hawkish in its approach toward Azerbaijan, and we can see a renewed tension between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But if, let's suppose, Nikol Pashinyan is able to consolidate his power and he is able to control the dissenting voices within the government, and the masses doesn't come on the streets, in that particular situation, Nikol Pashinyan would like to normalize relation with Azerbaijan. And we have seen in the past that Nikol Pashinyan is in favor of normalization and of relation between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and he also believes, like President Ilham Aliyev, in peaceful coexistence. So this can be, this is a double-edged sword for the future course of Armenia-Azerbaijan relations and the future of Pashinyan's government, or the future, political future of Pashinyan.